I'm talking about straining for that logo on the side of your helmet and not the name on your back.
Yes, sir.
Because we know what it represents. It represents everybody here you see and everybody you can't that we've talked about. I'm here to strain with you, man. I swear to God, I'm here to strain with you. Let's go. Everything you got, strain with everything you got. Let's go. Bills on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bills.
You're listening to the Off Tackle with John Fina show with your host, Joe Miller. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, into the Off Tackle with John Fina show, brought to you by the Market Dominator team on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso's Pizza. Treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's. We are Buffalo Pizza, shipping local nationwide. Order online at picassospizza.net. I'm the host of this here show, the Off Tackle with John Fina show. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. And that guy right over there sitting next to me is John Fina, former left tackle for the Buffalo Bills. John? What perfectly executed.
I've been practicing all week.
Well, last week was a dud. Last week you did it and there was nothing. So
well, that's why I was practicing. I was like, oh my God, the DMs were flying in. Bro, you can't even open a beer can. You suck.
Just like the offensive line this
like
week.
The offensive line.
People screaming at you, you suck.
You're the worst. Oh, hey, playoffs, Joe. Clinch,
yes.
Clinch.
Yes. We have officially clinched the playoffs, or a playoff berth, rather. The Bills have won, 5 in a row, I think. This is 4 years in a row that the Bills have been in the playoffs. Third year. If they win this week in Chicago, third year in a row as AFC East champion, and 5 out of 6 years that they've actually made the playoffs. Wildest dreams land, bro.
Oh, dude, you took it from me. I was going to say I got one word for you. Wildest dreams land.
That's
one word.
Is it one word? Hashtag
wildest dreams land.
Hashtag wildest dreams land. No, it's
not everybody is Joe Miller. He's the host of this here podcast. We break down the Buffalo Bills game. I'm feeling ornery tonight. I got set off a little bit by a couple of things. So, bringing it tonight, Joe. What do you got?
I got I don't know. I don't know that I've got much, but hopefully I've got some entertainment value in me, right? But it is good to have everybody here. Everybody's piling into the chat. We appreciate live.
Daniel Galleries, he's going to bring something. He always does. And Richard Rush is in there. Mimi Fina, what's up, Mimi Fina? Shout out.
It's funny.
Picture. I mean, I can't even name everybody. Here they all are having a great time on our show.
Well, this show is always fun, and it's an opportunity for us to get together and have conversations about the Buffalo. 11 of these Victory Mondays we have had so far this season, which is absolutely incredible. And real quick shout out to the title sponsor, who I don't have up. I meant to put them up and forgot to. Quick shout out to the title sponsor of our show, the Market Dominator team. And here is a message from John and Scott Cotillis, the whole entire Market Dominator team. Here we go.
Hey, I'm John.
And I'm Scott.
And we are the Market Dominators.
As the buyers specialist on our team, I love helping people search for, find, and buy homes. And just like our Bills, we put together a great winning strategy to help them succeed in this competitive market.
And as the listing agent, it's really important that we educate, advocate, negotiate, and dominate. So thank you, John, for giving us the opportunity to sponsor your awesome show, the Off Tackle Show with John Fina, hosted by our good friend Joe Miller. We're so grateful that we get to connect with all of Bills Mafia through your awesome show. So if you're looking to buy or sell, you reach out to us directly, 716-570-3298. And one other thing for all of our Mafia friends, Merry Christmas and Go Bills!
Go Bills. That is the Market Dominator team, John and Scott. Please give them a call at 716-570-3298 if you're in the market to buy or sell a home. But we got to hold up just a second. And I have not taken this video down for one reason.
Uh-oh. Oh, hey, I'm in the video. How about that?
First of all, your jersey is on the wall behind John, right? Next to Cornelius, next to Biscuit. Second of all, that jersey is autographed.
Yes, it is.
What does Joe Miller not have? An autographed John Fina jersey.
Didn't I give you one?
Every time it's come up, that's your question. Didn't
All right, I got one right here, I think. Let me see. It's got I think it has either some vomit stain on it or something. I gotta see if it comes out in the wash. I don't know. I might have been screaming so loud I dripped some chicken wings on it. I don't know what that is, but maybe a little I don't know. What's that stuff that guy sells on TV?
I think the Jewish word is schmutz.
Schmutz, yeah. I think, it's right. Well, I thought we were going to break down John and Scott's performance there because I thought the tutelage of John needs to continue, right? Because Scott was good, but he wasn't demonstrative enough with his hands.
Nice.
But he's coming along. So my expectations were that Scott would be a little bit better. So work.
The production quality sunk a little bit too, but I think that's a special one-off Christmas video that they did for us. Which is great.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, John. It's a pleasure having you as sponsors to this Off Tackle with John Fina podcast, hosted by the Joe Miller.
The Joe Miller. So let's get right into this. Let's not waste. Let's not spend any time any longer dilly-dallying around. The good. Yeah. Oh no! I jumped right ahead.
I know you jumped the gun there, buddy.
Our overarching thoughts on this football game. I apologize for that mishap. So, what were your overall thoughts of this football game?
Too many mental errors. Too many penalties on the avoidable penalties by the offense. In particular, illegal motion, offensive line. Those were killers, and there were mental errors. And there are always going to be physical shortcomings, but when your physical shortcoming is based on a technique mistake, that's a problem that, they can be rectified, but guys they got to stay tuned in. My thoughts on the game were just too many big plays given up by the defense and too many little hey, it's my turn to make a mistake instead of, developing into that not perfect game, but all three phases of the game, which we did not have yesterday.
Yeah. We talked a little bit today, and I'm going to preface this with the Bills won, right? So the Bills won. We got the dub, 11-3, stranglehold on the AFC East, still the number 1 seed in the AFC. Everything is pointing in the direction that we want it to go. The Chiefs are having a hard time against subpar teams, which is even better for the Bills.
Cincinnati struggled.
Dallas
lost to
that being said, there was a book written on that Dolphins offense that was started to be written by the 49ers. The 49ers shut that Dolphins team down, and the conversation was it was also partly because of the cold. It wasn't partly because of the cold. The reality was
in LA?
Yeah, no, it was in San Francisco.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pardon me. I was thinking of them.
So there was a great deal of the Niners have kind of figured something out, because the whole thing, and you and I have talked about this, and even it's funny because you said you really can't press a guy like Tyreek Hill. You can't press a guy like Jalen Waddle. You're one of the people that told me you really can't play press man against those guys. Well, the Niners did a little bit and it worked, and they shut that offense down. And then the very next week they go to the Chargers and it was 57 degrees. Oh, it's cold. They got heaters on the sideline, blah, 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 blah. And the Chargers had Tua throwing reckless footballs to open areas on the field because they were so in the face, in the grill of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle that the timing was completely off. And all Tua could do was basically just drop back 3 steps and throw the ball. Please God, let somebody show up, which they didn't. He completed 30% of his passes. It was ridiculous. They took the middle of the field away. It was genius what they did. And the Bills defense goes into this game, trots in with a nickel 4-2, which is what we do. A game that was supposed to be a blizzard. And when they even did play press man coverage, there wasn't, whether it was Key or Elam, whether it was Trey, whether it was Dane Jackson, they were 3 yards off him. And it was, to your point, they shook him and ran around him. It was almost like nobody wanted to get dirty. On my watch, that's what I was watching for.
The whole point of being in the nickel is so you got an extra guy that can recover, right? So you got 5 guys, and if you're going to press, then you have the ability to recover. You're not going to recover with Milano or with Tremaine Edmonds.
Right.
So
So if you're going to commit to press man, right, then you at least get a hand, step forward, get a hand on the guy, but they sat on their heel, let him make their move, and then they ran right around him. And
you're right. I think you both and we both agree that there's an aggressive nature to the defense that's missing.
I don't know how to put it into words. And if that's what the words are, then yes.
Well, so I looked, we had that conversation earlier today, and then I rewatched the game, and I was thinking to myself, okay, you want to go, Joe wants to go regular. All right, that's fine. So what I was trying to do was look for situations where having that nickel linebacker and the nickel DB hurt us in the run game. And I didn't find it. I found maybe one or two instances. The overarching problem with the run game was we were getting eaten up front. And if we weren't getting eaten up, we had guys that weren't maintaining gap integrity.
Yeah.
So if you're getting leveraged, you have to fight pressure. So it really hurt us on about 4 of those plus 8 yard runs where, if you're coming off, if you're a defensive end and you're engaging with the tackle and he wants to move you this way, you've got to be midline, off center midline, and be able to press and leak things out into space. But as soon as you take that extra step upfield, you create a huge seam.
Yeah.
And we did that multiple occasions.
Yeah.
And that gashed the D.
Yeah.
And Milano and Edmonds did not come downhill in this game against the run.
I think they were meant to stay back, right? I think that was so the Bills won, and that's all. So the game plan worked, right? So the Bills
it did.
They allowed the Dolphins to score 29 points, which to me should not happen in 20-degree weather. But they still won, and by and large, they won because this offense, when they need it, when they want it, when it's time to go get it, you can't stop them. Inside of 2 minutes, they said it on the broadcast, and I didn't see the broadcast Saturday night because I was there, but they said on the broadcast, the Bills are leading the league in second, like those last 2 minutes, second half or first half points of anybody. Like when it's inside 2 minutes, if they've got the ball, they're going to score a touchdown.
Wow.
Like,
so that reminds me, I played golf with a guy about 10 weeks ago, and it was a scramble, and we had 3 guys in the group.
Right.
And, there was no pressure. We didn't have to play fast. The guy would hit a horrible shot. And even when he didn't have an extra stroke, he's like, I'm just going to hit one for fun.
Right.
And he hits a pure 8-iron, 160, sticks in the green. And he did it over and over again. And so finally the other guys in the group, right before he'd line up, we go, hey, Ted, this is your second shot.
The first shot
he starts playing lights out, right? So, I mean, they're in the huddle, right? Somebody ought to just go, hey, there's only 2 minutes left. There's only 2 minutes left in the half. And it's like, 9 minutes left in the first quarter. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
That goes back to something we'll talk about a little bit later about that mental state, that attack mentality.
Right. Yeah. But it was a great experience. I said last night on the Overreaction show that I was doing everything I could. My dad bailed on the game on Wednesday. So like just the threat of snow and cold and like the traffic situation, my dad was like, I think I'm out. And it was, so I say he bailed on Wednesday. It was a hard, I think I'm out. And then by Friday I'm out. And then, and I had told McKenna, like, because she's like, if Papa doesn't go, I want to go. And so I gave her 15 opportunities to get out of it Saturday, like from Friday to Saturday, because I'm thinking 2 feet, right? Because it went from 4 to 7 inches, like to 7 to 12 inches to 12 to 24. And we got 24. In Hamburg, we got a full on 24 before the game started. But we ended up going, and I tried to, like, are you sure you want to go? We don't have to go. We can just go home, whatever. She wanted to go. We went, and it was an interesting, but the game itself, the experience was fantastic. And as much as snowballs were coming out of the stands like streamers, it was a wonderful environment when the Bills scored and the snow was going up instead of out towards the field. And speaking of that, I asked you earlier today, I don't know if you had time to think about it. Were you ever on the field, whether at our stadium? It happens at every other stadiums as well. Green Bay, Philly, New York, open air stadiums in New England. Were you ever in a situation where you guys were being pelted with snowballs by fans in the stands?
No, not snowballs. We had an away game, and we had some items thrown at us when we were going in and out of the tunnel. But nothing that really sticks in my mind like what I saw the other night. And whether it was Miami fans trying to get a penalty on the Bills or Bills fans, I got to think that if it were Miami fans, that the Bills Mafia would have grabbed him, put him in a nice little chokehold, and, been signaling security to get this SOB out of here. But I just don't like that. And you know what? There was plenty of time for snowballs in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I saw from my seats, first row of the upper deck, I saw several occasions in the corner end zone where I'm at, which is right below, I think the M&T suite is the corner end zone I'm nearest on the tunnel. So I guess right tunnel side if you're coming out of the tunnel. And there were several instances where somebody would throw a snowball and then you'd see the person behind him like pointing their finger at him, like to get security's attention, and then that person would immediately turn around and like want to start fisticuffs with him. It was just, the hard part about the whole thing is like you go back and forth. I want to have fun too, right? But I don't want to have fun at the detriment of the game, because the first thing I'm thinking about is the penalty stuff. I'm thinking about somebody, Mike McDaniel, getting hit in the head or something like that, or something ridiculous. Peter Schrager's saying stupid stuff like they're ice balls. They were not ice balls as far as that goes. There were snowballs. That's literally what they were. And no kid has ever been killed from being hit by a snowball, and no player with a helmet on has ever been killed or even hurt being hit by a snowball either. And I did a big diatribe on it yesterday on the show last night, and I was firm in my stance. But even with that being said, where I sat in the upper deck, it was neat to see the snowballs that didn't make the field. The people from the upper deck behind me, they were like streamers coming down, and they were just landing in the lower bowl. But there was a couple points where there was just, for no reason at all, just snowballs coming and white in the lights and coming down. But the game experience itself was awesome. And when the snow happened, it was reminiscent to me of the Miami Dolphins Bills game. And I don't remember what year it was. It was a long time ago. Ricky Williams was the running back. That's how long ago it was. Sitting in my same seat, my little brother Corey was sitting next to me. And it was the game where Ricky Williams, the first two possessions the Bills had, he ripped off like a 48-yard touchdown run and then like a 51-yard touchdown run. And the Bills were not playing well. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the snow from the back wall. Ricky Williams, did you play when Ricky Williams? I wonder if you were even on you may have been on the team at this time. But literally the snow from the side wall on my right-hand side, instead of falling down, went to commercial break, and all of a sudden the snow was coming up over that wall and then down into the stadium. And I hear people talk about it even today, when they're like, yeah, like the field was green, went to commercial, came back 3 minutes later, and the whole stadium was in a blizzard. And that's literally what happened. And the Dolphins just folded like a chair. So it was fourth quarter was that way. Like there was an aspect of like, all of a sudden it just started snowing, and boy, was it snowing. Like literally within a couple of minutes, the field had a coating of snow on it. And the Dolphins again, just kind of crumpled, right, with the whole entire thing. So wonderful game experience, suspect of the defensive game plan. But outside of that, I can't really say a whole lot of negative. It was great to be a part of.
Are we on the negative? Because the special teams, okay, because the special teams was garbage. Right.
Yeah. Well, we're not.
Except for the kicker.
We're definitely not on the negative. We did that last week. We tried that. Everybody got mad at us. But
why?
I don't know why.
Not mad at us for what?
Actually, we're 18 minutes into this thing. Let's talk about House Capital real quick before we get on to the good.
Oh boy, you're getting me fired up now. If you got a problem with your special teams, you need a guy to fix it. Call Joe Miller. But when you're looking to buy a house, everyone's got a guy. You might need work done on your roof. Hell, I got a guy. You need an inspection? Don't call Joe Miller. Call Jerry Ostrowski. He knows somebody. And when you're looking to get your financing together, Brian Belser from House Capital Corporation can be your guy. They help make the mortgage process simple, hassle-free, and understandable. At House Capital, their preferred relationships with some of the top lenders give you the edge up in getting the financing you need. Take it to the house with Brian Belser and House Capital. House is a registered mortgage broker in New York State. Development of financial services. All loans arranged to third-party providers. Equal housing opportunity. House Capital 500 proceed. MLS 1549644.
It's better when you do the tag at the end. It's better.
It's a tongue twister, man.
Was it Micro Machines? The old Micro Machine commercials?
Yeah.
You're old like me. You remember those. Yeah, if you're in the market for a mortgage refinance, whatever, please, after you call the Market Dominator team, call House Capital. They do work together often. So my mortgage was done. I should say my house. John was my realtor, and then Brian Belser was my mortgage broker. So by all means, give them both a call. So the good in this actually, I need to say this first. If you're watching this show right now live and you've got a question or a comment for John Fina, please super chat us. I forgot to say that at the top. Also, like and subscribe. Jump on that like button for us. Do us a favor, get our metrics up, but we'll appreciate you. So the good from this game, there was a lot of good. Josh, I mean, there was a couple throws where Josh had some errant throws, but that's going to happen. There was obviously some drop passes, but dude, there was a 3rd and 17 in this game where Josh hit Gabe over the middle on an in-breaking route where he just found the soft spot in the zone. And it was just all the memories came back of 3rd and Josh, right? I loved Cole Beasley being on the field, and I loved the response reaction that he got. Everybody, like the crowd was waiting. The crowd was waiting. Like Bees was on the field, I think, for 4 or 5 plays before he got his first catch. So the crowd was just waiting for the moment. And then the moment came, and you heard it on the broadcast, how loud the crowd was, to the point where even the announcers talked about it. But Devin Singletary, my goodness, like closing that game out for the Buffalo Bills. Josh, there's something we've talked about it. I brought it up many times. There's something about when Josh decides he's going to take a game over with his legs, that everything in the game changes. The defense almost doesn't know what to do with themselves. They're like, we've got this team stopped. We've got them stopped. And then Josh is like, no, you don't. And then everything else opens up around him. And I don't know what to do because I've been on the fence about the whole don't run Josh. But it really works. So, it really works well when you run Josh.
Yeah, it does. Is that it for your good, or do you want to?
I probably could go on for a long time. It was a fun game. Anytime you're beating the Dolphins in Buffalo at home. Dude, one of the other thoughts I had about the snow, it was like, if we keep throwing snowballs at this team, they're going to take away December games against the Dolphins against us or for us, right? They're going to put us in the summer and put them in the winter. And we don't really want that. But go ahead. Sorry. You can have a conversation now about the good.
I'm so glad I get to talk on my show.
You're welcome.
I'll tell you what I love.
John Fina has the floor.
I hear a lot about the Bills can't win a close one. Not that I've actually seen it because I don't pay that close of attention, but they're winning close ones, right? They closed this one out. That is better than good. That's great.
2 drives, 2 back-to-back drives to tie it and then to win the game.
The game is on the line, and they delivered. I mean, a lot of teams fold. To address your question about Josh, it's a different scenario with 2 minutes to go, because with the length of the field in play, we have enough weapons. Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, Dawson Knox, the incomparable Stephon Diggs, that is a secondary and a linebacking core. Your immediate response to drop into the secondary opens up the middle. And even if one guy's spying, your money's on Josh to get 8 yards minimum, right? I mean, occasionally when he's coming at you, he's gonna get 8.
Right.
When he's off to the sideline, occasionally those guys have been tripping him up. That'll happen. So it's not the same as running the guy in the middle of the first quarter on your own 25 with a called quarterback counter, which we also ran in this game, which was actually blocked extremely well. So that's really good. I liked the energy of Diggs. I felt like Diggs was just kind of building people up and pushing people along.
There was one I gotta say it. There was one play. I don't remember where. I think I don't know where in the game it was. I missed it in my rewatch today. There was some other stuff going on, but he caught a pass for a first down. It was a long, either second down or third down, and he's laying on the ground. I remember it at the game, and he's going, like, he's asking the defender, was that a first down? That was a first down, right? That was a first down.
That was awesome.
Sorry, I apologize.
I think I think Van Rotten's doing a pretty good job filling in at center. Like, I'm concerned about what?
My only aside from that would be when they went to do the kneel down, they did it in shotgun formation because they were worried about the snap.
Well, I mean, I don't.
Have you ever seen a kneel down in victory formation like they did on Sunday, or they did it Saturday night?
I have no issue with that.
McKenna's next to me going, why are they doing it like that? I'm like, I have no idea. They must not trust. And they had, so on the rewatch, they had issues with the center quarterback exchange, right?
Yeah, no, typically most of those fumbles at the center quarterback exchange belong to the quarterback, frankly.
Except it doesn't happen with Morse and it doesn't happen with Bates.
It happened in the Vikings game.
No, that was Van Roten.
Was it Van Roten? By the way, that was Josh's fault. by the way. The ball came up in the right spot.
Or was it Morse?
But the difference is the quarterback has
Morse.
to know.
You're right. It was Morse in that game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless, you took me off my track. I wanted to say that Taron Johnson had 2 amazing plays in the game.
Yes.
The PBU, the tackle for a loss. I mean, you can't go and say that's not good. Poyer, he had a solid game. I think I saw 2 mental errors. One of them one could have been his, one could have been Hamlin's, but by and large, I wanted to find a couple of guys on defense that played well because I didn't think anybody really stood out. Milano shocked me missing that tackle in the open field.
It's the second time it's happened. He did that once earlier in the season where he ran up to the guy and the guy ran around him.
Yeah. He could be tentative on the ankle. That could be. I thought Spencer Brown actually played pretty good. I watched him pretty close. His pass protection improved immensely. And I agree with you. I think the running backs, Singletary in particular, but James Cook looked really good. And, Josh, again, the good, no panic, calm, cool, collected, and the belief, he exudes belief. You know what I mean? You don't get that feeling that he's in a panic and there's 1:30 left to go in the half of the game. And he looks like the same guy, on the first drive of the game.
Right.
And that's a really good thing. He doesn't get rattled. And you could tell he doesn't get rattled because if a player disappoints him, he just gives him, he just does maybe a little like shake, shakes his head a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's not like screaming and angry because, it's the whole, point at you, 3 fingers pointing back at me. We got a great guy at the helm.
Yeah, it's to your point on Spencer Brown. So I heard this somewhere. I don't remember where it was. I was listening to or who I was listening to or what I was reading, but they were talking about the fact that Spencer Brown was going against Jalen Phillips, who's like enormous, 6'5", 6'6", and that Spencer Brown being 6'8", a big old boy, probably. I think Tommy Doyle's like 6'8.5". He's even bigger. That he struggles, or that at least he has struggled with getting low and getting into some of those shorter like defensive ends or outside linebackers that are rushing the passer. So, yeah, he definitely did better. Now, Jalen Phillips obviously had the strip sack on Allen. We can talk about that probably in the negative. You would probably put that on Allen.
Probably.
Wait. The funny part is he could have just gone. If he'd have just gone, he would have gotten.
Yeah. When I rewatched it, because when I see a play that I want to understand, I watch it like 9 times.
Right.
Which is why it takes me like 9 hours to watch one football game. The information is coming at me, Joe. I don't know what to say, man.
He runs up to the line of scrimmage and stops and waits. So apparently he saw something. He's stopped. He's like, I got that guy, and I'm going to wait for him to come open. And then Jalen Phillips got to him. And Jalen Phillips, I don't know. I didn't get to it on the broadcast. Did he when I was in the stands, he did it towards me because I'm on the Dolphins sideline. So the Bills were going from my left to the right, and then he strip sack, and then Jalen Phillips runs around and celebrates like he just won the Super Bowl. Jalen Phillips gets a strip sack against Josh Allen and is losing his ever-loving emotional mind. Like he's like on the ground and like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. It's like, bro, act like you've been there before.
All right, we'll revisit that kind of mindset thing. Right. So I think we hit the good, man. Oh, Tyler Bass.
Yes, Tyler Bass. Also Tre'Davious White. Tre'Davious White had a couple of moments where, again, press man, didn't really press into his man. However, it was great to see him getting overly involved, tackling guys.
Yeah, he had 2 challenging plays that I saw.
Yeah,
One, he was lined up on the defensive right. He gave too much cushion. We were bringing pressure, and I thought, well, maybe he's cushioning because of the pressure. Yeah. But he had a single high safety behind him. He had Hamlin behind him, and he should have been tighter to Waddle on that. I didn't think there was enough risk that warranted him playing as soft on that. It was kind of like a 12-yard in, something like that.
It was Waddle that got him.
Yeah, it was Waddle.
But overwhelmingly, it was great to see Tre'Davious completely involved in the game plan. He wasn't tentative like it felt like he was during the Jets game where he was kind of like, I'm not sure yet. Whereas this one, like he was going after Tyreek Hill as far as after the ball was being catched. He was challenging the passes while they were in the air. It was great. So yeah, that to me was a big good. There was a lot of good from this football game. And it was entertaining, and we beat an AFC East opponent, and beating them pretty much assures us of the AFC East like crown. So, I mean, the Bills would have to have an utter collapse. And by the way, as it pertains to the Dolphins, as much as the Bills went in there full of moxie, like, we're just going to do what we do and beat you, whoever plays the Dolphins going forward is going to play press man coverage and take away the middle and shut that offense down. So as much as people were like, oh, look, the Dolphins can play offense again, I'm not so sure the last 3 games the Dolphins are going to be as successful as they were against the Bills, frankly, because people are going to do what the Chargers did against them, right?
Yeah.
So your daughter just gave us a super chat, but there's no comment here. So Mimi, oh, there it is right there. Do you guys think Ike Butker will play against the Bears? How do you feel about that? If so, Mimi Fina with the super chat. This is John's daughter. Where are you at on Ike Butker?
Well, I think Quisenberry's playing well at guard. I think that position suits him right now. If Mitch Morse isn't back for the game, obviously Van Roten is going to be at center. Where does Rick Bates? What's his prognosis? Right. So
right guard. I would expect him back this week.
Yeah.
Although if Morse can't play, he's going to be the center.
Van Roten.
No, Brian Bates will be Brian Bates is the backup center.
Rick Bates, right? Okay, so Rick Bates comes back.
His mom doesn't like Rick. Ryan.
I did it for you.
Okay, perfect. Love it.
Yeah, I think, despite common misconception and people that like to throw blanket accusations and statements, this offensive line has played pretty damn well on Saturday night, aside from the penalties, which, I guess then they didn't play well. But I think the only guy right now, as I see it, who struggled from Saturday night was Saffold.
Yeah.
And, he's a good player. He does a couple of things that I'm just like, why did he do that? And these are all, Joe, pre-snap thoughts that you have in your head. You come running up to the line of scrimmage in your Scottish Bills Mafia t-shirt.
Bragger.
Yeah. I love it, man. I'm Scottish. You come up to the line of scrimmage, the play, the snap count, then you're counting. You're like, all right, this is what I see. Now, the next thought that comes into your head is, what's the worst thing that can happen to me? How do I prevent it with my first step? And you got to have that mentality. And there are situations where, and I know Jerry O's looking at the film right now, scratching his head. Reuben Brown's saying the same thing. Like, why the hell did he step out into space like that when he's got help inside and sells the center out? So, there's that. And it's easy to watch the film and say, why the hell did he do that? Rather than being in the game and the proverbial bullets are flying and, you get a little kind of loose with your technique. Right. But that's the point. You got to dial it back to the technique. You got to center yourself into this play, this moment, this technique, and do it right. And I would say that if anybody's kind of struggling on that from Saturday night, it would be Roger. Not that these things aren't curable, but I don't see Ike coming into the game unless we don't have Ryan Bates and Mitch Morse.
Coming off of the injury, to me, is the bigger problem, right? So you got Odell Beckham, ACL tear. All the hype, the whole entire season. Who's going to sign him? Where is he going to go? Von Miller, he's coming to Buffalo. Brandon Beane, we've been talking. Vaughn said he's in. Like, if he wants to be here, he'll be here. Blah, 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 blah. And then when the rubber meets the road and, like, you expect him to be healthy, from the horse's mouth, OBJ, I don't know that I need to play in the regular season. I think I'm good for the playoffs, which basically is just an admonition, an admonishment that he's not ready. Tre'Davious White gets injured on Thanksgiving last year. There were people speculating September. He's going to be ready for the season opener. And I was like, you're high. You are high if you think he's ready for the season opener. Well, it's different for everybody. 6 to 9 months, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, it's a year. It's 9 to a year, 9 months to a year. He comes back. When he finally comes back after Thanksgiving, he's super tentative. He's super like, I got to figure this thing out. Do I trust my knee? Right. I don't know that Ike Butker is in a situation where, even if he's quote unquote ready to play, that he's ready to play.
Yeah. So, it might be bring him back for limited snaps just to see, get him into that speed. I mean, they're not practicing at full speed. They haven't practiced at full speed since the first week of September.
Yeah.
There's just no way to simulate it. There's too much risk. The bodies are too sore. So bring them back onto the roster. Who's next up? The Bears, right? So,
Bears, yeah.
so who is going to go down that you have up 9 offensive linemen? You can't. You got to have 8, right? So you're only going to activate 8 offensive linemen unless you're really concerned about something. Activating 9, that would be insane. But if you do that, who do you put down? You put down I don't know.
This is the and at the risk of upsetting the comment section, and I know that Ike Butker is a guy that we like. I like Ike as well. The reality is if Morse can play and Ryan Bates is healthy, Van Roten is your backup, is your emergency guard, right? And your emergency center. Van Roten at a guard, from a guard standpoint, Van Roten has played well. Like he's never played center before. He never played center in college. So that's why that whole conversation about him playing center in the first Miami game was so perplexing. Why are you putting a guy in there to play center that's never played center before when the dude standing next to him was the backup center and you never played him because you were afraid to get him hurt in case Morris got hurt? So to me, Ike is kind of down on the totem pole. If Van Roten is healthy and Bates is healthy, Van Roten plays and Ike does not. That's just me, and I know that that's not necessarily what the comments probably.
Yeah, and you got Quesenberry playing guard too and playing well.
Right, and Quesenberry's been he did fine in that game as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And what's amazing too is like that his ankle's healthy. So all these guys are dealing with ankle injuries. Everybody. What's not
Joe, if you ever weighed 312 pounds, that's a lot of stress on the joints, brother.
I'm 235, so I'm close. I'm getting there. I'm working my way.
You are not 235. Right?
Swear to God, dude, 6 feet
so
tall.
we're separated by 15 pounds, and I'm like 6 feet taller than you.
You're 5 inches taller than me, and I have
my wingspan is an 80, and yours is like a 40.
It is not a 40.
Like dinosaur arms.
I have a 34. I have gangly arms like you, but I've got a 34-inch waist, and I weigh 236. Yes, 100%. And I hate the fact that I weigh 236. But that's a conversation for another day.
You better look better at the sales kickoff meeting in Orlando when we're there, buddy, or I'm gonna just pound you and choke you out in the middle of a meeting.
Right now, people are like, what? For those that don't know, John and I work for the same company, so we're gonna see each other next month at a company junket, which is gonna be fun. But,
and it's not the Abnormal Beer Company making hazy IPAs, but we are definitely abnormal.
We are definitely abnormal. Yeah. For all intents and purposes, you and I can show up on Tuesday night at the company kickoff and then go like find some other place to go, and you and I can just hang out by ourselves. Like we went to this other place while you guys were all over there. But that's a conversation for another day. So but just to wrap up the good, there was a lot of great stuff from this football game. It was a wonderful experience, and it was fun. It was fun to watch, I'm sure, even from the fan standpoint. And when the snow came, it was just majestic and perfect, right?
Majestic. He goes with majestic. Oh, that's a good word.
It just had to be perfect, majestic and perfect. But a lot of times what's perfect too at the right moment, and maybe always, is barbecue sauce.
Well, it's only perfect if you get Q42 from Iman Azizi. And guess what? As the generosity flows from Q42 through the rest of 2022, use the coupon code, all capitals, Fina Show, to save 30% on Q42's authentic, original, one-of-a-kind, all-natural, crafted in Buffalo barbecue sauces and rubs. On top of that, Q42 has reduced shipping costs on all orders for the holiday. Is he crazy? What the hell is it? Oh, I'm sorry. That was his wife saying, "Are you crazy with reduced shipping costs in this market?"
Now you're role playing.
Yes, I am. Get the goods at QUE42BBQ.com. That's Q42barbecue.com. And with gusto, pound in that coupon code Fina Show, all capitals. Save your 30%. Get the reduced shipping. Dine like a sultan.
Mic drop. Dine like a sultan. Sultans eat barbecue sauce? Is that true? Like, is that can we verify that sultans?
I think about just like this spread of food. I'm the sultan, I mean.
More importantly, Iman has doubled the discount. So if you put in Fina Show, you get double the discount, 30%. So get Q42. It's fantastic. It's absolutely It's everything that we bill it to be, and a ton of people in Buffalo are using it. And just so everybody that does not know, that's listening or watching right now, Q4242 represents the 42nd parallel, which Buffalo, the city of Buffalo, is on. So that's where the name Q42 comes from. So it's a Buffalo barbecue sauce. But yeah, it's freaking fantastic. Now, I got a couple videos, but the work, before we get to the videos, what were we going to say? We're going to say something about Q42.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just transitioning us to the next segment, which is the bad. We didn't want to use the word bad, so we used the work. So the things that the Bills need to work on.
Well, I'll tell you, roughing the punter, bad. Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know what happened there. So I was
holding, blocking the back on a return, bad.
But the roughing the punter piece, Cam Lewis, and Cam's a good kid, right?
I'm not saying he's a bad kid. I'm saying it's bad.
Yeah, but I don't know what happened there. Like, so I'm in the stands. I haven't seen the replay on the game feed as far as the broadcast, but he just basically, he wasn't even diving for the ball, which is normally what happens. He just ran into the guy, like, poof, here I am, and basically almost caught him right in the air. Like, what did you see from the broadcast angle?
It looked like he just took a poor angle. He might have got bumped, but if they don't see that you're blocked into the kicker, then it's on you to have your body control. That ended up in a touchdown.
Yeah, it was bad news.
That was just awful. And then we have a punt that trickles down to the 1 yard line.
That was when he kicked that ball. He kicked it from right in front of me. He kicked it from my left to right, and he kicked that ball. I was like, oh, that's a horrible punt. And then it hit the ground and took off. I was like, you got to be kidding me right now.
You just have to be ready. The expectation is I'm going to get some wicked, weird bounce in front of me, and I got to prevent this thing from freaking rolling to the 1. And I talk to you about this all the time. Conversely, we want our punter to put it at the 1 every time.
Right.
But I don't root for that team. I root for the Scottish Bills Mafia, Bills backers, Buffalo Bills.
It reminds me of a story. And this happens all the time, dude. Bills Mafia God, I love you. God, I love Bills Mafia.
But it sounded like a but is coming.
But I don't know what. Everybody's different, right? And when my 15-year-old, soon to be 16-year-old daughter is at the games and she's rolling her eyes at some of the things Bills Mafia behind us says, right? So you've got this guy. Come on, Josh, run the freaking ball, right? The guy that's just like back there going, run the ball. And then Josh runs the ball and gets tackled after 2 yards. Shit, Josh, what are you doing? It's like, well, he's running the ball. So this is the best part. So all that to say this. And like the things that I hear at the stadium from Bills Mafia, Sam Martin punts the ball. And I think he was punting from R48, right? So it's a pooch punt situation. He's just trying to get it inside the 20. He kicks the ball. It was perfectly executed. And the guy behind me, I'm going to swear. So this is a family show. I apologize. But like literally all of a sudden, ball gets kicked. Dunk, right? And it's coming my right to left. And the 2 rows back, I hear a guy go, what a shit punt.
It's still in the air.
It's in the air and it lands at like the 8. Like the guy fair catches it at the 8 or the 10. And I'm like, what a shit punt. Like I turned around and I'm like looking at it, and like the guy right behind me had already like turned around to him and was like, dude, what are you watching? What are you expecting to happen right here? What a shit punt.
Yeah, I have a hard time sometimes when I'm in the stands at a game and I hear things. And, what I do to combat it is I try to say nothing.
Right.
Because I'm like, I keep thinking I'm going to say something stupid like super soon and it's going to be super bad. Okay, right. The work. All right. They got to talk about the D-line and the gap control. I mean, look, the Dophins had a good plan. They had a really nice plan on passing plays where whether the H-back in motion or Ingold, the fullback, would cut our defensive ends. They put our guys on the ground a lot.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the work or the issue, but against the run, man, we can't guess. We can't jump. You can't get out of your gap control by more than a yard without fighting pressure. Do you know what I mean by fight pressure?
I think so. I don't want to say something and be wrong.
A combination block is coming at you, and if you get washed down and removed by a position, you're in trouble. But if that's happening and you feel it, you've got to fight against the pressure to hold that space.
Mm-hmm.
And those big runs, there were, like I said, 4 to 5 instances where our guys were they just took themselves completely out of the play. So it's one thing to get manhandled and driven out of your position. It's another thing that when you feel pressure, you try to go with it and beat it, and you self-remove.
Right.
And we did quite a few times where we took the easy way, and that just creates gashes. All right. So I did the D-line, which was just, I think, not good. They need to figure.
Well, we got some videos to kind of show, but
okay. Well,
which we've got 3, but I clearly at the top of the program, which for those that are just now that weren't here for the beginning, I don't understand I guess I don't understand the defensive game plan, but I guess there's a level of, if you're going to walk into a stadium and be like, I don't care what you're going to do, I'm going to be me. If that's how you're going to approach games, I guess more power to you until it doesn't work, right? We don't care what the Chargers put on tape last week. We're just going to do what we do and beat you.
I totally agree with you. And God rest his soul, Walt Corey. He was a great guy, but I hated the Bills' defense of the 90s. It's the same thing we're doing right now. We're just waiting for somebody to make a huge play. We don't do anything terribly creative. We occasionally bring a blitz, but it's always super vanilla. We're A-gapping or B-gapping with Edmonds or Milano. Occasionally we bring Hamlin either off the edge or Poyer in the B-gap. And it's not terribly creative. The defensive ends, I like them. I just see too many instances where they're just going and giving up the chest and they're not using a move. I mean, at the very least, start slapping hands and put a little panic in their hearts.
Slap hands. Sorry, Waterboy reference. So I guess from a work standpoint, let's start here. And to me, this is the long run by Raheem Mostert, right? And I think you had it listed to me as Groot jumping or Shaq or somebody not containing the edge.
Yeah, so Shaq right here at the top of your screen, he's getting blocked by the tackle. And then right here, what he does, rather than hold space, he flies upfield. And that creates that natural seam that you see right there.
Yeah.
Right. Now, that's a big enough problem. But then it's just exacerbated by Epinesa. Dude, just make the tackle. You're going for the strip on it. Huge mistake.
So this is a better look, obviously.
Right. So here's what Shaq does. He goes just flying upfield, but in this instance, with the tight end there especially, he has to hold that space. And if you look at the 3 technique, whether it's Settle or Daquan Jones, he's not getting any width either.
Right.
I think Daquan actually is on the backside here, almost makes a great play splitting the center and the guard.
Yeah, Daquan's on the backside. He actually comes from the outside in technically. So right to left, right? Well, we're viewing it left to right, but he comes from the right side around to the left side.
Yeah, he does a nice job here. He almost makes the tackle, but look at where Shaq Lawson is. He's 5 yards up the field.
Out of the play.
And look at the down and distance. It's 1st and 10.
No man's land.
Where's he going on 1st and 10? I mean,
he's basically rushing the passer. And what's wild about this is like Shaq Lawson's number one asset is his ability to set the edge.
Okay, so let's go back to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Every play, what's the down and distance? What's my mental state?
Situation.
I have got a responsibility here. And look, I'd be shocked to hear that that's what he was supposed to do on that play. If he were supposed to do that on that play, you wouldn't see Milano hopping over. You'd see him coming downhill on the snap
from
fill that gap.
From jump, he makes his decision and goes outside. I'm going outside. That's
right. And that, sir, is a gash. Okay.
So I don't want, and that's not my point about this play. My point about this play is effectively, where do I want to be at? So we're just going to run it from here. And if I got to back it up, I don't understand this about the Buffalo Bills. And for all intents and purposes, several modern day NFL teams. So Daquan dives at his hips, misses him, right? Fine. Right there, Epinesa.
Dude, I was gonna say that.
Tries to tackle his shoulders.
No, he was going.
Hamlin tries to tackle his shoulders.
I thought Epinesa was going for the strip.
Taron Johnson tries to tackle his shoulders. Why the hell don't people dive at their feet?
Yeah, I think you got to go to the hip and just affect the hip.
So
Because the guy can lean into you with his shoulder. Ruben and I used to do this beautifully. When we would come we'd have a combination block. A lot of guys would hit a guy in the shoulder, but then they can fight back easier.
Who gives a crap? You've been in the you haven't been in the
these two guys on your screen right now, they shouldn't even be a part of this discussion because Epinesa needs to make that tackle.
Well, right, but you've never been necessarily, just a guess, in the defensive meeting rooms. However, I find it hard to believe that, yes, we gave up a 67-yard run that led to a tackle. But, man, AJ, if you'd have gotten that strip there, it would have made a whole big difference. No, I got to think that they're in the room going, dude, you got to go at his feet here. You got to go to his hips. Go, take his legs out. There's no way they're like, no, the strip was the right call. Yeah, you missed it, and he got 67 yards, and they scored a touchdown right after it. But
no, he doesn't even have the right leverage to go for that strip. I mean, that's silly, right? You want to be punching it out from behind.
And Taryn does the same thing, and he gets another 20 yards. He dragged Taryn down the field from that yard. There's 5.
But he's not going for the strip.
10, 20, or 15 rather. 20. He's not going for the strip, but he's trying to tackle his shoulders. He gets 20 extra yards because Taryn Johnson does not cut his legs or go after his hips right here.
Yeah, but he shouldn't even be a part of this discussion. Epinesa make the tackle.
You can say that's the pass you would give him there.
I'm not giving him a pass. I'm just saying the real culprit here, aside from Shaq creating the seam, is the guy who's big enough to take his hands, put it on his shoulders, and shove him over the heated benches.
Right.
Because he had that angle.
Yeah, he could have just
pushed
it.
He did this thing where he's trying to knock the ball out. It was awful. Yeah, but
Taryn could have done the same thing. Taryn could have just shoved him out of bounds.
I agree.
It's
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it never should have come to that.
But I'm bringing this up because this is a problem with this defense.
The problem with this defense is they give up these big plays. We've been giving up too many big plays.
Fair.
But the overall problem is we can't put a complete game together right now. And going into the playoffs, and this is my point of the show, is we have to win in all facets of the game. Other than the game-winning field goal, which was like an extra point, right? Our expectation is he's going to hit that.
Right.
It's not like he hit a 61-yarder
to win, right?
Okay, on the right hash,
right,
with a 40-mile-an-hour wind or a swirling wind, right?
Yep.
So the expectation is he's going to nail that. But our special teams were horrible in this game.
Yeah.
Horrible.
One more time, John, for the kid in the back.
Right? And the defense, sorry, you hear it louder than they do, I hope, and the defense was, mediocre, good enough to win, but not great in the tackling. What's next? Because he got me all fired up.
The next one is, I believe, Poyer and Jackson.
All right. Okay. So this is the opening play of the game.
Yes.
Right. So, and I knew they were going to do this. I knew they were going to take a guy like Tyreek and see the way he got jammed at the line and start putting him in motion. But the crazy thing about this play is as you count the players, nearly everybody is at the top of your screen. So when he comes in motion, Poyer's following him, right? And now you got the tight end there. Why in the world are Dane Jackson and Poyer both sitting in space as the tight end blocks down? There they are, back to back. Right? So the one guy who, it's almost like you're escorting somebody across the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Or I'm sorry, not across the line of scrimmage, but across the formation. And then I'm handing him to you, or he's mine. And this is a big problem.
This is literally as bad as Josh throwing the football, right? Whatever it was, 15, 20 yards downfield, and Isaiah McKenzie and Gabe Davis both standing there at the same time.
I didn't want to bring that up, but that hurt my feelings.
Literally, you sent me this video and told me the time signature. When I pulled it, I was like, I don't know what he's talking about miscommunication. But now that you've said that, why?
Look at them. They're both covering one guy.
30 and 21.
Well, look, but if you go back a couple of frames, if Poyer is supposed to hand him off to Dane Jackson, he stops right there, and now he's recovering. And he's going to float right across at level 2, and he's going to make that tackle between Mint Milano and Shaq Lawson.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting things that the Dolphins did in this game to not necessarily uncover what the Bills were trying to do, but also to put the Bills in difficult situations. The Tyreek Hill, like constant, incessant streaking in motion, and not just normal like jog motion, but literally jet streak motion stuff, literally seemed to throw the Bills kind of off kilter a little bit. And it shifted. They were talking about it on One Bills Live today with Eric Wood, talking about it, like it would shift the whole defense and move them from having 7 in the box to 6 in the box. And one of those 6 was Taron Johnson. So not only did they lose a player, they got smaller in the box.
No, and that's when we had the conversation earlier today. I paid very close attention to that. But again, it's gap integrity beyond this. I mean, when you can see the back of the right tackle, you know, pushing our defensive end up like that. And look where, I mean, Milano and Edmonds are getting eaten alive here.
Yeah, there's a back butt view from this, so we'll take a look real quick. There you go.
You know, this is not a bad job by the defensive end, okay? To be fair. He shuts down the running lane, but the linebackers have to win. There were just too many instances in this game where people were getting eaten up by their offensive line.
Well, it doesn't help the linebacker that 58. Who's 58?
The right guard or 68?
68 finds Tremaine Edmonds in about a half a second, right? That's never great for the situation.
Yeah, but Tremaine's got to blow that guy up. You know, what he does here is he jumps too.
He shed him. He shed him pretty quick.
Yeah, but he's too far downfield. He's got to come up, make contact, and establish a much narrower alley for I can't remember the running back. That's not Mostert, is it?
That is Mostert.
Okay, that's Mostert. So he can't make that cut right between the depth of level 1 and level 2, right? So if Edmonds comes further down, there's too much trash there, and it makes it much harder for Mostert to make this cut to his left.
I think Edmonds was expecting it to go outside based on that look right there. I think Edmonds sheds him and is expecting it to go to the right.
What I'm saying is this is a downhill play,
right?
And you're getting blowed up at 4 yards deep. If you're a linebacker and this play is coming at you, you need to be at 3.
Yeah. You said blowed up, by the way.
I did. What did you expect me to say?
Blown.
No, that's not what we say in the locker room.
Is that what you say in the locker room?
Absolutely, dude. You got blowed up.
So this was a Daquan Jones where you felt the gap integrity. I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about that too, as far as the defensive line, where the defense, when it had issues in this game, it was primarily on the defensive line. Yes.
Yeah, I would say for sure. But look at the line. Look at the alignment, right? You got a tight Shaq Lawson or Groot. I'm not sure who that is. It looks like Shaq from the stance. And then you got Daquan in a 3 right there, right? So on the snap of the ball, watch where he goes. I mean, riddle me this, Batman. You're in basically a tight defensive line formation. And on the snap of the ball, you go flying.
Outside.
He's so far outside that Shaq folds behind him. Or Groot. I can't tell. My eyeballs don't work that well. It's Groot, right? So he ends up almost making the shoestring tackle, layering over the 3 technique. Where's he going?
Right. As opposed to dipping inside, right?
No, not even dipping inside, as opposed to blowing him up and fronting him up. On running plays, it's a fight in a phone booth, right? I, as a defender, want to get my hands on you inside before you, as an offensive lineman, get your hands on me inside. You're fighting for this position. Right. And I'm not trying to show you my cleavage. You're fighting for this position. You got me?
I did until you said you have cleavage, but yes.
You got a problem with the moobs? Listen, you can't do that. And look, here's the crazy thing. The Miami Dolphins had all but one play running success between the tackles. They had one toss or a pitch to Mostert or whomever it was. I can't think of his name, the other running back who's also quite good.
Ahmed.
Oh, everything's hitting between the tackles, Joe. Why are people flying up the B gap?
I don't know, but it's funny because it was almost like the Dolphins were preparing for a blizzard game. and the Bills defense didn't think they were going to, right?
Like okay, they're not going to run. I mean, if I love Mostert, he's a terrific running back.
Right, for sure.
Right?
Yes, yeah, and he's fast too.
And
So,
Ahmed's no slouch either.
yeah, so let's do this. So let's put that to bed, and let's go back to, or I should say, let's round this thing out and be out of here,
bro. You get me fired up
with the next expectation. So the Buffalo Bills on Christmas Eve go to Chicago. They're going to head to Chicago this week on Saturday after 7 days rest or 6 days rest. Excuse me, a normal week. And they're going to, how do I want to put this lightly? The Bills defense that sometimes has some gap integrity issues is going to play potentially the biggest quarterback running threat in the league right now, maybe even over Lamar Jackson. Now, the Bills have had a lot of success against Lamar Jackson. Justin Fields poses a different level or different type of threat as it pertains to running. He's not quite as twitchy, quite as jerky. Justin Fields is almost like Josh Allen, the way that he runs. It's a little different. But, yeah, as far as my expectations for this game, clearly I expect the Bills to win. I expect the Buffalo Bills to go to Chicago to take care of the Bears the way that they should. The Bears are not a good football team. They're not, at this point, it seems like, very well-coached football team. They got a good running back in David Montgomery. They obviously have Justin Fields. They have no passing game at all. So they're going to wholly sell out to stopping Justin Fields, right? That's what you expect?
Yep.
Yeah. So if that be the case, you'd expect the Bills to come out with a dub. Now they got to play the football game. That's why they play the game.
Yeah. So my expectations defensively is our defensive ends are not going to be running the 10-yard hump to get around, right?
Right.
You're going to see a little bit more of a controlled rush, maybe some inside. This would be a good game to run some ET games, right? To get that pressure on the tackle and have a guy like Ed Oliver, who's a terrific athlete, moving in space. Josh will step up and then slide out between the guard and tackle. You work that game, you pressure it this way, and you force Fields to escape around the outside.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you support it. That's specifically talking about how you stop Fields, but generally as a game, you got to have we need a special teams game that's just even, like doesn't hurt us. I mean, honestly,
right.
We need a special teams game that doesn't hurt us, and we need a better defensive performance among the front six. And I'm not going to say front seven because you're not going to see regular, Joe. You're not going to get it. It's Christmas. It's Christmas, and you're not getting it. No opening your presents on Christmas Eve. We're going nickel. We're going 4-2-5.
There are things that this fan that is Joe Miller has said for several years. One of them, Tyreek Hill, why are we not jamming him at the line? That is now being vetted as true. You jam that guy at the line.
Well, not when he's in motion.
Not in motion, but it breaks off his ability to get open or whatever, do what he's going to do against you. Why are we not running a 4-3? And now you've got Eric Wood on One Bills Live saying the Bills should be running 4-3 when they're up against teams like this. So there's a great deal of things that I've been told that aren't not necessarily by you, but just on Twitter, by other content creators, people that have subtweeted me. And it's coming out that it's like, no, maybe there was something to this. But yeah, we do have a super chat. So we'll get to that real quick. John DeFazio, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Bills will go 4-3. So traditional 4-3. Drop the nickel play with three linebackers. There is no threat to our pass defense. We need to make an adjustment. It's really that simple. So John is on my side. He feels like we're going to go 4-3 because the pass game is not going to be something that the Bills are going to be worried about. And it is in here. Where is it at? So the weather forecast, people are talking about Roy Collins says possible blizzard in Chicago. Ralph Wilson Sr. says -13 wind chill forecasted at 25 mile per hour winds. First of all, can we just say for a second that it's not that cold in Buffalo? So we're dispelling one rumor or one.
Go easy, bro.
One narrative right there. It's not going to be that cold in Buffalo. So the ice planet.
Move the game to Buffalo. There you go, man.
Right. We should start tweeting that out. Like, why are we not moving this game to Buffalo?
All right. Look, I hope I'm wrong because I'm with you on that. I would like to see a little bit of 4-3. I'd like to see a little bit more variety. And I've been saying this for weeks now. We need a little bit more creativity. How many times have I said I would rather have my head chopped off than death by 1,000 cuts?
Sure.
So we've been burned a little bit when we bring guys on a blitz but I don't think that those are very highly conceived attacks that we're using.
Yeah.
Expectations. We're gonna have to run the ball. We're gonna use the play action. We're gonna see Cook and Singletary a little bit more. And I think one of my issues with the game, and we didn't even get into some of the stuff, my notes were extensive. I mean, we had situations where we should have been working the ball downfield, trying to get 3 to 8 yard chunks, and we just we're going for too many home runs.
Yeah.
We need to be sitting in that 6 to 12 yard area with some sit down routes, with some option routes, and just nickel and dime a little bit. Take a little bit more time off the
That's
clock.
the Beasley role. And Karen Idzik just literally asked the question, will we see more Beasley this week? And I think we will.
Yeah, I mean, why would you bring him back and go through all that harumph and yada, yada, yada without playing him? But I'll say this. I think that it elevates the play of Isaiah McKenzie. I think he got better. I think he got better the moment Beasley walked into the meeting room.
Well, but they also had McKenzie and Beasley on the field at the same time several times on Saturday, going back to this past week's game. And there was I didn't count exactly, but it felt to me from when I did notice that every time Beasley was on the field, they were in a single high safety. They had dropped out of a Tampa 2, which made a big difference. So to me, that's important. When we're talking about expectations, if you're expecting Pamela to show up late, she did. She just got here. So Pamela, congratulations. You made it for the goodbyes. Sorry, had to put a little dig in there on Pamela.
I think that, and we didn't address this, but this team has to get their mind right about the third quarter. My expectation is that they are going to be better and a more complete team. Mm-hmm. Now, look, let's go back real quick. I mean, the Bengals almost lost. These teams look at games against the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals like they are Super Bowls. Okay. And you got to bring all three facets of the game. My expectations are a little bit more creativity on defense, mm-hmm. a little bit more offense without mistakes. Okay. Mm-hmm. And for the love of God, a special teams that just doesn't hurt us.
Yeah. No, 3 phases is going to be important. If the weather is what you saw, getting Singletary and James Cook and Josh Allen going early is going to be important. You know, mm-hmm. I am not for 1 second going to believe that the Bills, if it's minus 25 wind chill factor, still aren't going to throw the football. Why do you think that, Joe? Well, John, you were at the playoff game against the Patriots, and the Bills threw the ball all over the yard. It was -7. And the Bills are like, you know what? Just like they did on defense this past weekend, we're going to do what we do. We came here to play football, so we're going to play football our way. And
I think the issue is the wind. If it's high wind, that makes it hard. If it's just cold, if there's a little snow.
I think they learned that last year. I think they learned that last year against the Patriots in the game. The Patriots beat them with the 35 mile an hour winds, where they came out early, tried to run the ball and play to the weather, and it didn't work. And then they started throwing the ball all over the yard in the second half, and it worked. Like Josh Allen can cut through that stuff. I mean, it's not great, but I think that, I don't know. We'll see. John DeFazio with another super chat. John, thank you so much for being a part of the show. One other thing that is itching at his craw. If our best play design to get Diggs the ball is that stupid wide receiver screen where we have Shakur can't block, there must be more to that. Did I read that?
I think what he's saying is, well, I mean, to be fair, John, I disagree with you. That's not the only way we get Diggs the ball. He actually had some pretty awesome catches in this game.
He's talking about the fact that every time we run
that play,
it's the worst possible moment against the worst possible look.
Well, and I don't think Diggs is the right guy for that.
And Shakir is out there and misses his block every time.
Well, oh God, that's horrible to say. I think it's a personnel thing. I don't want to give the ball to Diggs there. I want to give it to Gabe Davis, a bigger guy who's just, whose mind is more like just go forward, where Diggs likes to do his dance kind of thing. I think it's or have Singletary or Cook out there catching it. I think that's a better play. But again, we've always talked about this as players. Wide receivers, man, when they do block, it's like, a beautiful thing, and you want to give them the old bow and say thank you, do it again. Do it again. Golf clap, please do it again. But you never rely on it. I don't like the play because you're relying on guys who don't practice blocking to block.
But the frustration for Bills fans, and I speak for all of Bills Mafia right now, we watch this play run successfully against us week after week. Teams do it against us where their wide receiver that's the extra one or the extra two out there block their guy up, the guy gets through, and they gain 8, 10, 12 yards. Now, we don't lose football games because of it, but we see it happen and perfectly executed week after week against us. It happens every single week. And every single week we watch the Bills try to run it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And every single time they fail because the defender runs around Khalil Shakir or the defender runs around whoever's out there against him. At what point in time, you as a player, is somebody not in one of these guys' faces going, this is a part of our offense. We do this. Block your guy. It's in the playbook every week. Every week they miss their block. At what point is somebody going, could you please just get in front of the dude?
I don't know what goes on in this locker room, and I'm sure it's not different than when I was there, but I'd be like, dude, on the sideline, like, you got to block that guy. Like, why didn't you block that guy? But I don't like the play, period. I much prefer swinging it out to Cook or Singletary. We do far better with those guys.
Agreed.
But you say it always works against us, but Taron Johnson made a game-changing play on a tackle for a loss in a not dissimilar play.
I'm not saying it's 100%. I'm just telling you that if you watch that game back, even if you watch the last 3 weeks, there was a successful wide receiver bubble screen in every game.
Yeah, you're right.
What are you showing me? You show me your notes.
My expectations are a complete game. I think we got to get Diggs the ball a little bit more. I like that Knox was involved, but 2.5 drops is terrible. You can't drop the ball when it's thrown right between your hands.
Yeah.
And we got to get our ends more creative on their pass rush. No more giving them the breastplate. Defensive line has to fight pressure. Saffold has to eliminate penalties and mental errors. Allen, he had 4 plays where he sailed the ball a little high. 2 of them I give him a pass on. 2 he should have nailed. And then special teams. And then when you screw up and you can't get out of your own end zone, you flip the field and give them field position. It's hard to take it back.
Right.
We've got to play field position, especially when the weather's bad this week.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it.
For sure. I love it. And I tell you what, so we are long in the tooth, and I use that phrase all the time. So we're going to have to get some more sponsors, and maybe we go 2 hours. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Ralph Wilson's in the chat. Maybe he can sponsor us from Beyond the Beyond.
It says Ralph Wilson Sr. Now, it's Ralph Wilson's dad.
That's Ralph Wilson's dad's dad?
It's in the chat.
God, it's mind-boggling.
It's great. Dad, not dad's dad.
Is it Keanu Reeves in that movie?
What movie are we talking about?
I don't know. I'm just saying it sounds like a Keanu Reeves movie.
It might be, but yeah. So let me do this. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Off Tackle with John Fina show, brought to you by the Market Dominator team, as well as House Capital and Q42 on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. For myself, Joe Miller, you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. You can find that guy John Fina on Twitter at John Fina. He's a great follow. He's interactive. He'll follow you back. It's a lot of fun. He enjoys the just the interaction in general. But before we get out of here, John, as I do every week, any final thoughts?
Yeah, did you do the pizza thing at the beginning? Because I don't remember hearing it.
I did.
Okay, cool. We got the pizza thing. Hey, we won't talk to you again until after the holiday.
Christmas Monday the 26th.
Holiday.
Yep.
So,
and we have a special guest.
Yeah, right. So Thurman Thomas is going to join us the Monday after Christmas.
Next week.
It's like Christmas, like 3 days in a row. You get the game, you get the weekend off, and then you get Thurman Thomas and Joe Miller.
Right.
What?
Right.
And Mimi will be here. She'll be on the podcast. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. I lost my train of thought because I got so excited talking about my teammate Thurman Thomas. But Merry Christmas to everyone. Proud of you, Bills Mafia. You're good people. And thank you for watching our show. We like to cut it up. And it's just been great. Joe, Merry Christmas to you and your lovely family.
Right back at you, bro. I appreciate you. Love you. So, yeah, for myself, for John Fina, for Buffalo Rumblings, stay tuned for Buffalo Late Night coming up right after this, I think at 9:30 with Thomas DeLoss. And I don't know who he has for guests, but he always get good guests. Gets good guests. But so for me, for John, for everybody, go Bills.
Go Bills.